and you're watching RPadTV. And today, Paul and I are going to talk to you guys about Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2. Paul and I, as you can see, Paul and I are both Godzilla nerds. So we are excited for this one, but we have some thoughts. Now, first, Paul, how are you this fine weekend?
I'm good, and thoughts is a very polite way to put that.
So let's give the people some background first. I enjoyed season 1 of Monarch much more so than the recent Godzilla movies. So I was hoping for something more along those lines. It had problems, sure, but I liked where they were going with it. I liked the potential of it. More so than the American Godzilla movies, not as much as the Japanese Godzilla movies. How about you? What did you think of the first season, and how did you approach season 2?
I did not like season 1 as much as I like the recent Godzilla movies, the Godzilla and King of Monsters. But I certainly like them a lot more than the 2 that he did with King Kong, and I liked it more than the King Kong movie. Although the King Kong movie is better than the first actually both of the King Kong Godzilla movies. And that last King Kong Godzilla movie is the worst of the 5.
With a Nintendo Power Glove,
yeah.
Gimmick so much. Oh.
Yeah, and so I went into this liking the first season, but wanting more of the monsters, actually, which is kind of how I felt about the first Godzilla movie. Like, I wanted there to be more monsters, and they certainly gave us that, but they sort of also did other things I don't like. So. Yeah.
So let's kick things off with a bite-sized review. We usually put these on Blue Sky when we're live, but since we're taping this, I will kick things off saying that Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2 had some awesome kaiju stuff, but some really, really unfortunate and stupid human stuff that dragged down the season as a whole. Still, when it's great, it's super fun and super cool, but when it's dumb, it's so dumb. How about you, Paul?
Gotta go to my radio voice.
Yes.
While it was sorry,
that wasn't it. I'm leaving that in. I don't care if I can edit.
Go ahead. I have no shame. While it was more exciting than the first season, Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2 was also uneven and got way too silly.
Yeah, I completely agree with both of those points. Especially the unevenness. I mean, as many problems as season 1 had, maybe not many problems, but as the problems it did have, at least it was consistent throughout.
Yeah.
Whereas this, it just felt like it was all over the place. Matt Fraction, who's one of my favorite comics writers, I believe was much more involved in season 1 than he was in season 2. And I think that showed. I love his Hawkeye comics, for example, and those are very tight and cool. But before we get into the bad stuff, let's kick things off positively, because we are positive people. Actually, that might not be true either. But what did you like best about Monarch season 2, Paul?
Well, for me, there were 2 big things or 3 big things that I liked the best. One is had a lot more action, and more kaiju. Like, we got King Kong in there, Godzilla was in it much more. Obviously, Titan X was like the main. I would say she. Sorry, don't want to misgender her. She was the star of this season, specific to this season. And so I liked the fight between Titan X and Godzilla. I liked the fight between King Kong and Titan X. Although I also loved when King Kong realized that Titan X was like just trying to save her baby. He's like, "Oh shit, sorry.
Yeah, my bad."
I'll leave you to it. I also really liked the episode when old Shaw talked to young Shaw.
Oh, okay.
And that timey-wimey kind of thing, like that, I thought was really interesting. But my favorite thing this season was that we got a lot more of Keiko. who was a character my favorite character from the first season, my favorite character this season as well. She, as people know, we're not spoiling anything at this point. She dies in the first season, but then comes back at the end. But here she's in it the whole time. She was really, really great. You know, some of her story didn't work for me, but the actress who plays her, Mari Yamamoto, is just fantastic.
Yeah.
And I loved watching her, especially when she was interacting with Kate, who's her granddaughter, which is like a weird, you know, timey-wimey thing, but also when she was interacting with Shaw, you know, and so that to me was the highlight of this season.
And just to be clear, she didn't die in season 1. She got sucked into the Axis.
Well, you're led to believe that she died, right. That she got dragged off by a bunch of little gigantic bugs,
right?
And then you find out later that she was actually, you know, brought to this alternate dimension jungle place,
right? The Axis Mundi, and
yeah,
she gets pulled out back to our planet where she's greeted by her son, who is now older than her, or
right, because it's one of those like time dilation things where like you know time goes faster, slower. I don't know. So yeah.
So I will agree with you on More K. I think that was my favorite part of the season as well. She's fantastic. I love Maria Miyamoto. Rental Family was my favorite movie last year. She is in that. I highly recommend seeing that. So we got to see more of her. We got to see more. I agree with you on the kaiju fights too. Even though I wasn't sold on Titan X at first, I'm like, what is this like stupid lobster thing? Is like Godzilla gonna steam him and then him and Kong are gonna eat it later? That,
you know, the funny thing is there is a movie, I don't remember the Japanese name of it, but the American name was Godzilla versus the Sea Monster, and it was a giant lobster.
I remember,
and there is like this big fight, the two of them fight at the end, and that's one of those weird Japanese movies where like literally it goes an hour and there's no Godzilla, and then at the end he shows up and fights the lobster and then leaves. So.
Yeah. It reminded me of the Land of the Lost movie, where there's this giant crab chasing them, but then all of a sudden it gets shot by a geyser, and then
right,
eating it later. Yeah. I was kind of hoping that would happen, but Titan X eventually grew on me when I found out she was a mommy and she was just protecting her egg. I'm like, oh, that is cool and cute for a kaiju. We don't see that too often. And the fight scenes, I'm like, whoa, Titan X is kind of a badass. So that I enjoyed both of those fights as well. If the fight kept happening with Kong, Titan X was going to fuck Kong up because she was winning that fight. Even though Kong may not have been fully into it when he realized what was happening. But yeah,
I would agree with that.
I really, really enjoyed the fights as well. I did not enjoy the timey-wimey thing as much as you did. While I like the premise of it, I don't think I subscribe to the explanation of time travel in Avengers Endgame. So everything that they changed in the past with Old Shaw and Young Shaw, like that would have had they would have created another timeline essentially, and they did not. And I also don't believe that the tracking device they put in Monster X, I don't believe that stayed in there for decades. I'm sure that would have been knocked off or somebody, or at the very least, somebody from Monarch from all those years would have detected the signal. I don't know. So I think it would have had, I can't believe that it had no effect on anything else. I believe in the butterfly effect. I don't know. If you believe in different timey-wimey rules, please let us know in the comments section. There is no right or wrong, because as far as we know, time travel doesn't exist. Or does it? We will find out. I think this section will be a bit longer because there's a lot more to criticize this season, but I will kick this off and say my least favorite parts of this were Kate and Kentaro, the kids of the season. I just didn't like how they were written. It's no indictment on the actors. I think they did the best with what they were given, but I think they were given crap to work with. And it showed. I disliked both of those characters' stories, and it made me dislike both of those characters. It didn't really make sense either, and it didn't entertain. So there was a point, and spoilers, we're already past the spoiler part, but Hiroshi dies halfway through. I think it was episode 4 or 5 where he kicks it. And I was joking with Carlos, who's also on the show a lot. I'm like, I think Hiroshi killed himself because he realized both his kids suck. And he's like, I can't deal with these idiots anymore. Titan X, kill me. So what did you like least about this? I know there's a certain triangle shaped object that you did not like.
So I wasn't going to lead with that, but I will. I was not really sold on the love triangle between Shaw and Keiko and Bill.
Yeah.
I want to be very clear about this. I do believe in the triangle itself. It's even in the first season there was chemistry between.
Oh, with the character. I thought you were like, I don't believe in the shape. I'm like, the shape.
No. I am not a member of the insane clown posse. I believe in shapes and magnets. No, I believe it wasn't like, okay, a lot of times especially in big action movies, like a love story is kind of tacked on.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like it was tacked on as much as it just felt unnecessary. Like I do believe, because there's, like I was starting to say, there is absolutely chemistry between Keiko and young Shaw.
Right.
But it felt like expanding that as part of the story just didn't work. Like I didn't see the point. I didn't think it was necessary. Like I think having it kind of implied and be in the background was fine. They could have brought it up a little bit, but like making it such a focus didn't really work for me. The other thing that I didn't like, which you started to talk about a little, is the whole thing where Kate somehow vibrates or can feel the vibration of Titan Egg.
Just hearing you explain it, like it already irritates me. I'm like, it's so stupid.
Yeah, I mean,
put her feet in the water, then she can communicate with Titan X.
Okay. Yeah, and I always have a problem in any Godzilla or monster movie when there is that kind of thing. Like the one movie where like the kid became like some little kid became friends with Godzilla's son, and like or even
the girls that sing to Mothra to summon it.
I mean that I don't mind, because like once you buy into the fact that there's a tiny little Japanese twins, like what they do with a giant moth is fine. But like, for example, in the first American Godzilla movie, not the Matthew Broderick one, but the one that's part of this series, like there's a scene where like Godzilla kind of leans down and like looks at like, the guy, and I'm like,
no, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and like, or like in this, like there's a scene where it's after like King Kong leaves. It's after like the whole thing with the King Kong, and he leaves, and the Titan's going through the portal, and like Kate kind of does one of these, and like the Titan does it too, and I'm like, ah.
Yeah, like the Titan becomes ET all of a sudden now.
Yeah.
Right there. No.
And now here's the thing. I'm sure that somebody watching this is saying to themselves, well, wait a minute, there's always been silly stuff in King Kong. There was the time he danced, there was the time that he talked. And yeah, you're right. Silliness is a big part of the Godzilla, I don't know, milieu.
Yeah, that's the right
But
word.
I never like it. I didn't like when he did that stupid Russian dance. I didn't like it when he had a little cute kid, or when he talked to the other monsters. I didn't like it in the first Godzilla movie, in the second one rather, when the other Titans bowed down to him. Like, I get it that there's always, a silliness, but I really I don't like it. I mean, it's one of the reasons that like everything I'm kind of saying about this movie, this show rather, is I could also say about the two King Kong and Godzilla movies, because like there's some spectacular action in those movies, but there's also just stupid silliness.
Fucking power glove that Kong.
Yeah.
Oh, Yeah, and I think these things should evolve. I mean, it's okay if these things were silly in the 70s or whatever, but things change, we improve, tastes change.
Yeah,
My
that's the thing.
problem.
I never understand why it is that like everybody does the same thing. Like every time even Toho is rebooted Godzilla, they start off serious and then it gets sillier and sillier and sillier.
Maybe life just taps them out and they're like, oh, why not?
I don't know.
I mean, the finale did beat me into submission, and we'll get more into that later, but I just wanted to talk about this more broadly about the trend you brought up, that I see it in things like the upcoming Street Fighter movie and the upcoming He-Man movie, which a lot of our friends are excited about, but it doesn't seem to be improving on anything. And it has the silly campy elements from the 80s that I don't think work. Like the He-Man movie looks stupid to me, especially compared to the more serious stuff that Kevin Smith did on the Netflix series. I love that. Like, why can't we have a movie of that instead of this cheesy monstrosity that appears to be coming? But we'll see. Alison Brie can convince me to like anything pretty much.
Yeah, I've never been a big He-Man fan, so the idea of them doing a serious, that movie wasn't going to hold my interest even if they did do it like super serious. I think they probably think with that and Street Fighter that they have that nostalgia thing and they kind of have to go with it, you know?
But I mean, like with the cartoon again, for example, the Kevin Smith cartoons, it does pay homage to the original series and the toys and all that good stuff, but it tells a good story without resorting to yucks. So I that's what I would want. I might be in the minority. I probably am. Maybe the cheesy stuff does sell. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know.
People went to the Jackass movie. I don't understand.
Hey, if somebody asked me what I wanted out of a He-Man movie, I would say you get the robot chicken guys to do it and have it be all just those the way they did the characters, which is just absolutely hilarious. Like, I don't know if you've seen any of the robot chicken stuff, but
those were still intelligently written. It's almost like why I like Seth MacFarlane is that he puts a lot of time and effort into being really silly and stupid, and I love it. So that's kind of what, I don't know, that would be a different way to go, but instead it looks more like tasteless 80s stuff. On the love triangle, I will slightly disagree with you there, because I see what they wanted to do with it. I could also see why it didn't land with you, and I'm sure several other people. It's showing that, Billy didn't abandon Hiroshi. Billy was trying to, fix things through timey-wimey stuff. And it also explained, Hiroshi wanted to fix things. He didn't really abandon his kids either, although he might have at the end because he realized they suck. I will maintain that. So I see how the love triangle sets that up, and I can see how it works for some people and not for others. I didn't have a problem with it personally. Like I can understand, they're in this exotic South American country. It's hot and humid. They were drinking too. They were in hallucinating.
Yeah, but I mean, I totally buy the attraction between Keiko and Shaw. Like, that's not my problem with it. I mean, I felt there was an attraction there in the first season. It was just they spent too much time on that.
Okay, I can get that as well. But let's stick to the adults there. I think we're gonna both be in agreement that Kay was the coolest of the adult characters. Again, Marie Yamamoto is awesome, and you should watch her in Rental Family. Is there anyone else you wanted to give a shout out to? I mean, of course, we have Kurt Russell, who's
Kurt Russell. Yeah. And it was funny too, because at one point when I was watching the show, it just sort of struck me like Kurt Russell, who has been acting since he was a little kid, is in a TV show with Godzilla. And I saw he did a whole bunch of interviews, and it was like him and his kid doing them together. And he just seemed to be having like a blast with this. Like he seemed to really be like people say like, oh, he was in on the joke. Like I think he was like, this is kind of cool. I'm in a movie with Godzilla
and his son.
Like, yeah, and and I get to like be in something with my son. Like, I mean, and granted, like he's never been like an actor who's been like, like Meryl Streep or somebody who's like kind of vaulted up there as like a serious actor.
Right.
And occasionally, it's not like when Cate Blanchett does like a Marvel movie and some people are like, that's cool that she's doing it, and other people are like, why is she slumming it?
Right, but even like, late age Harrison Ford looks like he's having more fun. Like in The Force Awakens, that he looked like he was having a blast.
Yeah.
In those movies.
Yeah.
Even the last Indiana Jones movie, he looked like he was enjoying himself and he was more appreciative. And I think that's the same for Kurt Russell too. With the Fast and Furious movies, he always looked like he was having so much fun in those, just being part of this franchise and getting to do goofy shit with the.
Well, in this one he's like running around a jungle and he's got a gun and he's doing this and doing that and like.
Okay, some of that I was not buying. I'm like, dude, he's like 80 or whatever. He's not
look it.
He's not stealing a helicopter and after trekking through the jungles of Skull Island.
I bought it, but yeah.
I liked him a lot, who was kind of like the head of Monarch due to circumstances beyond his control. So I kind of like he was overwhelmed for a lot of the series. But he has this one heroic moment at the end, which was stupid and silly at the same time. But I think out of all the characters in the show, he was the one I identified with the most. He's goofy. He's in over his head. And he's just kind of like watching madness unfold about him. So I liked him as well. Dr. Suzuki, who is the young version of Suzuki Sensei, he was in the flashbacks of this season, but also in season 1 he played a big part. I like that they brought him back. I thought he was a cool character, even though it was weird that Shaw called him Zook, which I thought was, I'm like, dude has a PhD, man. Be respectful. Any other of the adults stick out for you, or you want to give a shout out to?
No, just the ones we talked about.
So let's rail on the kids. I don't know. Kate sucked, and I kind of want to throw this to you because I just don't want to get all riled up. But why, out of the young kids, who did you dislike and like?
I mean, I as I said earlier, I like the scenes with Kate and Keiko.
Okay.
It was interesting because even though they're not that far apart, Keiko is still her grandmother.
Right.
And kind of took a paternal approach to Kate, which I liked. I also liked May. Again, her story was a little kind of all over the place. It seemed somewhat inconsistent. Like, now she's doing this, now she's doing that. But I do like Kiersey Clemons. I think she's really, really good. She's really likable in that role.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't mind that she was kind of all over the place and doubting her choices, because that was me in my 20s. So,
yeah, that's a good point.
I also think she was by far the most competent of the young people. So, Kentaro and Kate could learn from her, their friend / love interest. I'm like, why can't you be more like May? She was the only one who can get shit done and be competent. But I hated the kids so much, except for May. Amber Midthunder is a new kid.
Oh yeah. From Predator Prey.
From Prey. She's also on Reservation Dogs towards the end. Okay. But yes, she's a cool actor and very interesting culturally, because she is I believe half native and half Thai. So very cool. So that's kind of like why part of the season took place in Thailand, because it made sense for her ethnicity. But what did you think of her character?
I liked her house.
Her house kicked ass. Yeah.
Her house was like crazy. I liked her, and she was one of the more consistent of the young people in the show. She was very determined, never wavered.
Yes.
And it was interesting that she was kind of, connected to Apex, was it?
Yes.
Connected to Apex, but not, part of Apex, and kind of almost like running a counter op.
Yeah, she's being her daddy's runs Apex, so she's kind of being a rebellious daughter.
Which reminds me of something I forgot that I really liked was I don't know the actor's name, but he was the guy who was running things on the ground for Apex, but he was screwing people over left and right. And then he gets baked by Godzilla.
Of course.
Which was just kind of out of the blue. It was just kind of like he's standing and all of a sudden Godzilla's like, blam, and like the guy's like, I love that.
Because when I first saw that character, I'm like, this guy's got to die.
I don't know that actor's name, but I've seen him in like a ton of things, and he's always really, really good. And he's one of those guys who can definitely play a very nice person and a dick. He's not kind of locked into one, either because of the way he acts or his physical, the way he looks. So,
right.
I like that too.
I think you and I disagree on this part of the finale, but there's a part where Kate becomes MacGyver, and I will confess, the first time I watched the finale twice. The first time I was definitely high. So when she starts doing MacGyver shit, I'm like, oh, okay, fine. And I was just like laughing at, her, she is a science teacher, so she would know how to use, what was it, like Brillo and
like
other cleaner
steel wool and cleaner and a battery.
Yeah, so she knows how to melt a screw, but then all of a sudden she's like climbing through vents like she's Snake Plissken, for example, So I was like, oh, fine, let's go with it. But what did you think of? I mean, they Mary sued the hell out of Kate. They made her MacGyver. They made her the kaiju whisperer.
Right.
And
I didn't have a problem with that until you brought it up, and then it dawned on me like I absolutely believe she would know how to turn those things into a fire to loosen the screw. I don't necessarily buy that all those things would be in a room and that the battery would still have a chart. Like, I was like, okay.
Very convenient.
Yeah, it was a little too convenient. And also the idea of having air ducts that like you can crawl around in, like, yeah. I mean, that's like a trope of
the science teachers I can remember, which from grade school and high school, which is maybe 3 of them because very few of them left an impression. None of them are climbing through vents. Yes, they would know how to melt a screw with Brillo and whatever.
Right.
But none of them are becoming Solid Snake and starring in their own stealth action scenes.
Yeah, because my mom is a school teacher and she would absolutely know how to do that. And there's no way in hell that she's crawling around. But then again, so there's no way in hell she would go off and be chasing after a giant monster, and talking to it and giving it a high five. And
well, do you know for sure? Maybe your mom is talking to kaiju when she's soaking her feet. Have you asked her? She can do that.
No, I have not asked my mother if she's ever high-fived Godzilla.
Was it a high five? Was it a fist? Were they dapping?
I don't know. What it was kind of like she was rubbing his hand. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that is a mystery for another time. Okay, we have lots more to get into for Monarch Season 2. But before we do that, Paul, can we get an update on what's going on paulsemel.com?
Okay, so actually, there's a lot of really cool things that are going to come up this week, both in books and video games. One of the things I got coming up this week is an interview with a writer named Fonda Lee, who has a new dystopian cyberpunk samurai novel coming out called The Last Contract of the Sako.
That's dystopian cyberpunk samurai.
Yes.
Cool.
And people who, if you know her at all, then you probably know her for the Green Bone Saga, which is an epic fantasy trilogy. And so what we actually talk about in the interview, along with like, what is it about? What inspired it? What influenced? Is her decision to tell this story as a science fiction as opposed to fantasy. Because I could easily see it being fantasy. Like, we have very different book, very different story, but like, it was sort of interesting to talk to her about that. And then on the games front, I have a review of this third-person action-adventure game called Aphelion.
Ooh.
Now, the idea of Aphelion is there's these two astronauts crash land on a planet that they were hoping to survey for possible human living. But they get separated, and what ends up happening is when you play as both characters, but the game is rather different when you do. When you play as this woman named Ariane, it's kind of like Tomb Raider. But like the parts of Tomb Raider where you're doing all the climbing and the jumping and the swinging and stuff like that. Although there's also parts of her story where it's stealth action and you have to like sneak around because there's this alien and it can't see you, but it can hear you. So you have to deal with that. And then when you play as the guy, Thomas, he was injured in the crash. So he can't do any of the climbing. He can't do any of the jumping. So for him, it's a matter of figuring out how to get from one place to another. What's also a problem for him is his air tank is broken and it's draining quickly. So he's got to constantly find ways of refilling it. And what's interesting, I thought, was the thing that refills his air thing is like there's like a long hose on it. So you can actually walk for a while with this hose attached. And then at some point you kind of go like, oh, right, got to unplug myself. So it's interesting. Sorry.
Is his gameplay more strategic than the stealth action?
No, I would say his part is more about figuring out what to do. Like one of his things, like they both have grapple hooks, and she uses hers to like, climb up sheer walls and do that wall running thing. And he uses his to like there'll be like a barrier in the way and he'll be like, okay, I can't pull it from here. How do I get around to a point where I can pull it from different angle? Or like, oh, here's like a bridge, but the bridge is like stuck up. Like I got to pull it down.
Okay. So it's almost like a puzzle game in that sense, or like
it's puzzle-ish.
Like although it hasn't versions of Zelda, for example.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I would say so. And then there's also some interesting things that they did. For like one interesting thing is like first of all, there's no point in exploring because you're never going to find like treasure or whatever. But there's also no health in the game. Like if you get hurt, you're dead. And I don't mean that like, oh, I got a cut on my arm, it's going to get infected, I'm going to die. I mean like you don't actually get cut.
Right.
If you get hurt at all, it's because you fell off a cliff.
Right.
Or you ran out of oxygen, or that creature squished you. So there's no, like, it's interesting because like I'm so used to playing games where like you want to check every nook and cranny because there could be treasure, there could be ammo, there could be health packs.
Right.
Nothing. There's nothing to be found. And if it is something to be found, it is all story related. Like at one point there was like, there was a cave. I was like, okay, I'm supposed to go over here. The cave is over here. I'm going to go see what's in the cave. And all that I found was something that moved the story forward, which is fine because it's a cool story. But it's just interesting, especially after playing like Resident Evil Requiem, where like you're constantly looking like, is there, what's in this box? What's in this cabinet? Like,
right.
So
now there's no point because you don't need a health potion.
You don't have a gun, so you can't find ammo,
right.
So I don't know. It's interesting. It doesn't quite work as well as I would hope, but it's still kind of interesting and I'm having a good time with it. So.
Yeah. It sounds like the concepts are very cool, but I will find out about the execution when I read your review on paulsemel.com. For these stories and more, go to paulsemel.com. There is a direct link in the Facebook and YouTube descriptions. If you'd like to help out this podcast, please give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe. Look at that fine tumbler that Paul is drinking out of with Olivia Rodrigo's name, who just hosted an excellent episode of SNL. So very proud of her. But yes, you can pick up that tumbler. You can pick up RPadTV t-shirts on Amazon.com. Just search for RPadTV and you will look cool, or a person in your life will look cool by wearing an RPadTV t-shirt. But yes, likes and subscribes are always appreciated. So please do that as well. Now, Paul, I wanted to talk to you about the finale. I watched it twice. The first time I was definitely very high, and I thought it was really funny at times and just silly at other times. I already told you about Kate being MacGyver, but when Kim channeled Roman Reigns and speared the hell out of that guy, I'm like, I thought that was hilarious when I was high, not as much as when I was sober when I rewatched the finale. What did you think of the finale overall? There was a lot.
To me, the finale was kind of a microcosm of the whole season, where you had like this cool fight between King Kong and Titan X, but then you had like the cheesy, thing with Kate and Titan X. It was kind of neither here nor, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of how I feel about the whole season. It's just very uneven, the highs were really high and the lows are really low, and it kind of, felt disjointed in some respects. So yeah, I felt that, like I said, I felt the same way about that episode as I felt about the whole season.
Yeah, I will agree, but I think I enjoyed this more than my least favorite episodes of the show by far, where there were a lot of episodes that kind of dragged and felt like it was too long. So at least pace wise, this kept things going at a nice clip. And as you said, the highs were definitely high. I love that kaiju fight. When I was high, I thought that many things were unintentionally funny. So I guess that is a bonus as well. The stinger at the end, I thought was very cool. Let's touch more on that for our expectations of season 3, but there is another kaiju in the mix potentially if this show keeps going. So I guess it landed for sure. It wrapped up the things good, bad, and ugly of the series. So it did what a finale was supposed to do. Closed up storylines and set up another season if they go for it. So I guess functionally it worked. It didn't kill Kate and Kentaro, which was kind of my hope. When I was high during the fight with Kong and Titan X, I was like actively rooting for one of Titan X's tentacles to kill one of the humans. I'm like, first I was like, kill Kate, please kill Kate, please kill Kate. And then I'm like, oh, God damn it, just kill someone already, tentacle. So I was rooting for the tentacles at one point during that really cool fight. Very dramatic. Also made me think Kay was more of a badass than I already thought she was for just driving into that shit with her little Jeep. Did you buy that part of the humans running around like ants while the Titans were fighting, or was that too silly for you?
Which fight specifically? You mean like the King Kong
and Titan X when Kay is trying to rescue Kate in her.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was like, why is she just standing there? Like, why isn't she running for her? Like, she knows what could happen. Like, why isn't she running for Kate? Like, why isn't she running for her life? Again, I buy Keiko going after her because it's that whatever the instinct. Yeah. I mean, I want to say maternal instinct because it seems more maternal than grandmotherly. But
yeah.
Although
grandmother is a mother, so
yeah. But it seemed almost more maternal than. Like I always think when I think of grandparents and grandkids, I think of like grandparents spoiling the kid,
right?
Whereas also, the mom is the one who's like, trying to keep the kid down the straight and narrow.
Age-wise, a grandma is not driving a Jeep into a kaiju fight anyway. So
no. I mean, she looks good for a grandmother, but yeah, that was another one of those things where I'm like, why? Oh yeah, okay. For the sake of the story, she has to be in danger. That's why she's not running. Okay, I get it. All right.
Serpentine. What is that from? Oh, what is that?
Land of the Lost.
No, there's an older movie where they did the serpentine gag. Okay, I got to look it up now.
I'm just thinking Will Ferrell and the dinosaur from Land of the Lost.
Right. No, The In-Laws with Alan Arkin and Peter Falk.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yes. It's 1979. Look up the serpentine scene. And also why who was the Stark that got arrowed because he was running in a straight line in the Rickon Stark during the Battle of the Bastards.
Oh.
Why didn't he serpentine? Ramsay might not have hit him with an arrow, but dipshit was running in a straight line. That always annoyed me. But then again, you had to piss off Jon Snow somehow. Tangent over, I guess. Paul, you are intimately familiar with the Monsterverse, as it is called. Do you think this series did a good job of linking the previous Godzilla and Kong movies and setting up future ones?
It felt to me kind of like the current season of Daredevil.
Ooh.
In that I'm not really sure how it connects to the larger story. I mean, obviously it doesn't come after the most recent King Kong versus Godzilla movie, because in the King Kong Godzilla movie, the second one, King Kong lives in the Hollow Earth. So he wouldn't have been hanging out on Skull Island. So clearly it happens before then, but like, I don't know, it seemed weirdly disconnected. Like, how does Monarch go from being kind of not where they want to be, and not nearly as professional, to being very professional and on top of it, which is where you find them at the whatever, I don't even know what the name of the second King Kong versus Godzilla movie is called.
Yeah, I mean, it did a good job of linking the previous movies more for me. I didn't like them anyway, and I kind of don't care if it sets up events in future Kong and Godzilla movies, because I know I won't like them.
Probably. Well, I think there's now a sense among people that make TV shows based on series of movies that, like, you can do things in the movies that affect the TV shows. You can't do things in the TV shows that affect the movies.
Right.
And I get the same, like I said, I get the same vibe from Daredevil. Because there's a lot of things in Daredevil where I'm like, where's Spider-Man during all of this? Like, where are the other superheroes? Like, it's, like, where is, the other superheroes that are out there now? Like, how is this going to fit in with, the Doomsday and all that? So,
it looks like it's setting up stuff for after that. I mean, this is kind of by the time this video is out, we'll have reviewed Daredevil, so we haven't seen the finale yet. But I mean, Val appears to be setting up a Dark Avengers, and
right.
It almost seems like a shoo-in that, in the Dark Avengers in the comics during I believe it was the Dark Reign series, Bullseye was actually the Dark Avengers Hawkeye in there, and there were some great adventures with Bullseye / Hawkeye in the Deadpool comics were absolutely hilarious. But also another tangent. But yeah, I mean, it seems like Val is doing something with her Avengers with a Z, or her setting up a Dark Avengers team built in one century. But we shall see. So we had a very cool stinger in the finale where old Lee Shaw goes to Thailand to meet up with an old friend of his who happens to be Rodan, who's hanging out in Thailand, enjoying the beaches and excellent food. I love Rodan. I love any new kaiju brought into the mix, but I just, it almost seemed silly the way Lee was talking. Like he was talking to Rodan like it was an old friend. Hey, I haven't seen you since '78. Like, what did you think of the stinger, and what do you think of the potential for Rodan in season 3?
I didn't have a problem with the way he spoke, because that just seemed like a jokey thing to say to giant monster that, and Shaw has a sense of humor about stuff. I was excited to see Rodan. I like that they're bringing in some of the classic monsters. Like I said earlier, like one of the things I liked about this season was we got more Godzilla and we got King Kong.
Right.
So the fact that next season could, if there is a next season, will involve Rodan was great. I of course would love it if the smog monster was in it.
Oh.
Especially if they went like hard on the environmental aspects of it, because that would, A, it would be just really entertaining, and B, it would piss off the right people, which I always appreciate. But yeah, I was excited for that, like the little tease at the end. I don't know where they're gonna go with it. I mean, Rodan's just hanging out. There's nobody around. No one he's not bothering anybody.
Yeah, he's just enjoying the volcano. It's like,
yeah,
if you're hanging out in a hot tub and all of a sudden all these humans start pestering you, you'd be pissed off too.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're in a hot tub and a bunch of ants show up, you're gonna be like, God damn it.
I mean,
especially if they start jumping in.
As many problems as this season had, are you even looking forward to season 3? Do you want more of this show even?
It's one of those things where if they said it got canceled, we're not doing anymore, I'd be like, okay. But if they said, oh, it did really well, we're doing more, I'd be like, okay. Like it's not.
Yeah. I feel very, very similarly to you. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they killed this show because it looks expensive, especially the kaiju scenes. Those can't be cheap. But if it did get a season 3, I would hope for the potential for improvement. So and more kaiju. And if you want to bring in the smog monster, I want to bring in Jet Jaguar. That would make me outstandingly happy. That's not going to happen, but it would make me so incredibly happy.
That would just be weird.
Smog monster always my favorite part of the smog monster were the Save the Earth song from the Go-Go bar that they kept showing. Like, it's very specific to me. Are there any other monsters from old Godzilla movies that you would like to see?
I mean, to be honest with you, like we've already, we've had King Ghidorah already
in the movies.
In the movies. I mean, Rodan is one that we haven't. I mean, he's been in 2 movies now, but we haven't he was just in the one movie, and we didn't get to see much of him. So I'd be more inclined to say him. I mean, obviously Mothra. You always want like Mothra showing up somehow,
right?
Although she died again in the second Godzilla movie, but there seemed to be a bunch of them.
Anguirus is his bestie. So
yeah, I mean like I don't want the sea monster, I don't want space Godzilla.
What about Gigan? I always thought that one had an interesting.
Gigan could be cool. I mean, we got Mecha Godzilla in the second movie.
Yeah.
I always liked Mecha Kong because I love King Kong Lives.
And we had Mecha Gigan where Gigan had like a chainsaw fist instead of the stupid.
Yeah, that could be really expensive though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think adding Rodan, like even if we just get Rodan, I'd be fine. But like if we got Rodan or the smog, and the smog monster rather, I would be excited for that. But like, I only want the smog monster if they're going to go hard with the environmental thing, because otherwise it's like
it doesn't make sense. Otherwise,
yeah, like there's just creature titan made of garbage.
I don't know. I mean, that could be happening with all these power plants that AI services are using. Some of them not permitted exclusively, or some of them not permitted correctly. Like the ones that Grok uses. Elon's going to kill me now. Maybe Elon's Grok power plants will somehow form the smog monster in real life. I'm not high.
Yeah, I mean, it would be the interesting thing about the smog monster is that it's not a titan in the strict sense. Like it's not an ancient monster the way that Godzilla and Rodan and the Mutus were. It would be something created out of this thing. So that's why I think it would be, it'd be kind of cool.
It is a result of mankind's inability to take care of the earth, and I would love that.
Yeah,
that is.
I'd also like to see like a maybe a new one.
Yeah,
like I don't know what you could do, but I mean, you've got a big lizard, you got a big monkey, you got a big chicken.
We already had a big lobster.
There was a big lobster, a big spider. Yeah, I don't know.
A snail kaiju that crawls along very slowly and is slimy.
There's a movie that I used to watch all the time on the 4:30 movie channel, ABC in New York, and it was the Dr. Dolittle, and there was a giant snail, and he got in it and rode around with it. But it wasn't like kaiju size. It was the size of King Kong in the original King Kong. So it's like 2 stories tall. Like it wasn't like 300 feet.
So but still bigger than the racing snail from the Never-Ending Story, which is
I think so.
Okay, because that was just like a dude riding a horse essentially.
No. This was like you could get into. They got into the shell, and there was enough room to like.
Oh wow!
Do stuff.
Wow. So they like lived in there. So it was essentially
like hung out. Yeah,
it was like a camper, basically.
Yeah, kind of. I think it was Dr. Dolittle.
This sounds trippy. Were you high at the time? I want to see that now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was Dr. Dolittle, the one from 1967, with Rex Harrison.
Wow. Okay, I gotta check this out. It's so.
And again, it was one of those movies. It was like the 4:30 movie. Like I probably saw it like 18 times growing up.
Well, Paul, I think that will be a wrap for our Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2 review. Are there any closing words that you would like to say about this before we never watch this season again?
No. Except that I'll probably never watch this season again.
Mine are, if there is a season 3, please be better, because Godzilla is awesome and deserves better. Guys, go to paulsemel.com for excellent reviews, previews, interviews, and more. Like and subscribe this podcast, and join us later this week, where we're going to be talking about Punisher One Last Kill, the Punisher one-shot that by the time you see this should be released on Disney Plus. Thanks for watching RPadTV. We'll see you next time.